Alex had always loved the quiet of the forest. The way the wind moved through the trees, the smell of damp earth after rain, the soft rustle of leaves underfoot. It was all peace to him. On a crisp autumn morning, he packed his small backpack with a tent, a flashlight, and some supplies, and set off toward Black Pine Forest. The road to the trailhead was long and winding, cutting through rolling hills and farmland. By the time he reached the parking area, the sun was low, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch like fingers across the ground. He started his hike immediately, following a narrow trail that led deeper into the dense woods. The trees grew taller and closer together as he walked, their gnarled branches forming a canopy overhead that filtered the fading sunlight into a dim, eerie glow. Mist had begun to curl around the trunks, drifting lazily like smoke in the quiet air. Alex's footsteps were loud against the soft, damp earth, each crunch echoing unnaturally through the forest. After about an hour, he found a small clearing. It was perfect, enough space to pitch his tent and start a small fire. He did so carefully, laying dry twigs and kindling in the center, and lighting them with practiced ease. The flames flickered, casting dancing shadows across the clearing. Alex watched them for a moment, feeling the warmth of the fire and the satisfaction of a well-prepared campsite. Yet even in that moment of comfort, he felt the weight of the forest's silence. It wasn't ordinary quiet. It was heavy, almost watching. Night fell quickly, and with it came the sounds, or perhaps the lack of them, that made him uneasy. The usual nocturnal noises were absent. No crickets chirped, no distant owl called. The only sound was the occasional rustle of leaves or the crack of a distant branch. Alex tried to reassure himself. It was a forest. There were no people here. Only him. Whispers in the dark. For several nights in a row, Daniel woke up at exactly 3:03 a.m. He would hear footsteps moving slowly across the ceiling, directly above his bed. But the attic was locked. Wasn't it? One night, unable to resist, he pressed his ear against the attic door. What he heard made his skin crawl. Voices. Dozens of them. They spoke all at once, overlapping, fast, impossible to understand, until one clear voice rose above the rest. "Daniel, come play with us." He jumped back, heart pounding. The hallway was freezing cold. The air smelled of mildew and something else. Something metallic. The landlord's warning. The next day, Daniel asked the landlord, Mr. Peterson, about the attic. The old man stiffened, his hands trembling as he lit a cigarette. "You stay out of there, boy," Peterson muttered. "That house, it ain't right. Family lived there back in '72. 2 kids. Sweet kids. They disappeared one night. Never found a trace. Police said the parents were guilty, but the parents swore the house took them." Daniel felt sick. He wanted to press for more details, but the landlord walked away, shaking his head, as if afraid to say more. The door opens. A week later, on a stormy night, Daniel was home alone. His parents had gone to visit friends. Rain hammered against the roof as thunder rolled across the sky. At exactly 3:03 a.m., Daniel woke to a loud click, the sound of metal sliding free. He sat up in bed, holding his breath. From the hallway came a long, slow creak. The attic door had opened. Daniel's heart pounded as he crept toward the hall. The door now hung slightly ajar. Darkness spilled down the corridor like thick smoke. From inside came the soft patter of footsteps. Then a child's laughter. A pale hand slid through the crack, dragging its nails across the floorboards. Another hand followed. Then another. Soon, half a dozen small hands were reaching out, grasping, clawing. Terrified, Daniel stumbled back, waiting for him to falter. Alex decided he had to leave. He packed his tent as quickly as possible, tossing supplies into the backpack. Every sound was amplified, the snapping of twigs underfoot, the flutter of leaves, the whisper of wind through the branches. He took off down the trail, but the path had changed. Trees and underbrush seemed to have shifted. Familiar landmarks were gone. The forest itself seemed alive, twisting around him, closing in. He ran blindly, branches slapping his face and roots tripping him. Behind him, he thought he heard footsteps, soft and deliberate, matching his pace. He dared not look back. Every nerve screamed that something was there, watching, following, waiting. After what felt like hours, Alex stumbled into a small hollow, gasping for air. He leaned against a tree, heart hammering, trying to calm his frantic breathing. The shadow had not appeared again, at least not visibly. But he could feel it, an invisible weight pressing on him, making him move forward despite exhaustion. He continued, moving cautiously yet quickly, until the trail opened slightly, revealing a narrow dirt road. The morning light was faint, but enough to guide him. He ran toward it, hoping desperately that someone would come along. Minutes later, he saw a figure in the distance. A hiker, a camper, someone. Relief washed over him. When they reached him, he was trembling, exhausted, and disoriented. Alex tried to explain what had happened, but his words sounded hollow even to his own ears. The forest had taken more than his calm. It had stolen a part of his memory, leaving him with only the fragments of fear he had felt, and the certainty that he would never return alone. Even after days had passed, he could feel it sometimes, in dreams, in quiet moments, in the silence of the trees near his home. The forest remembered him. The shadows never forgot. And somewhere in Black Pine Forest, what had watched him waited for the next person who would wander alone into its depths. The memory of that night haunted him, not as a simple recollection, but as a living presence. He could hear the wind differently now, notice the rustle of leaves with a heightened awareness. Every shadow, every flicker of movement reminded him that the forest was never truly empty, and those who ventured too deep alone might never be the same again. Alex's story spread slowly, among hikers and locals who knew better than to venture too far alone. Warnings were whispered, trailheads marked with signs and notes about caution, but the forest itself required no human acknowledgement. It existed, silent, eternal, and patient. Some who entered Black Pine Forest sought solitude, adventure, or escape. Few came out unchanged. Alex survived, but the experience left a mark that would never fade. The shadows that watched him that night remained part of his consciousness, a permanent reminder that in the forest, some things are always waiting, unseen and unyielding, for those who wander alone. The forest remembers, the shadows remember, and for those who think they can walk through alone, there is always someone or something watching.